Most people think retirement planning comes down to one key question. Do I have enough money? That's not actually the right question. The right question is this. Do all the pieces of my plan work together? Because I've seen people with $2 million saved still have a great fear of running out of money in retirement. And I've seen people with half that retired confidently and never look back enjoying their retirement. See, the difference wasn't the size of the portfolio, it was whether they had a good system in place and not just a collection of pieces. Today, I'm going to show you how to connect Social Security, taxes, and investments into one coordinated retirement plan so your money works together instead of it quietly working against you. First, I want to tell you a quick story. A couple came to me recently. They were both in their early 60s. They're really smart people, disciplined savers. They had a solid investment account plan, Social Security estimates, and a tax advisor that helped them for years. On paper, everything looks fine. They said something that really stuck out to me. They said, we feel like we just have all the pieces, but we don't have a true plan. That's exactly the problem that we hear very often from people heading into retirement. Because retirement isn't just about having the right pieces, it's about how those pieces interact with each other. See, most people treat retirement like three completely separate buckets. There's first the Social Security bucket. Maybe you say we'll figure that out as we get closer to our time to claim. There's the investment bucket. You just sort of say we've been growing that over time. We'll just let that keep growing. And there's taxes. Oftentimes saying we'll just deal with those each year and file our taxes by April. And while that sounds reasonable, it's actually a pretty good recipe for some potential unnecessary losses. Because these aren't three areas that are completely separate. They're actually deeply and directly connected. So Social Security could become taxable based on what you're doing with your investment withdrawals. Taxes could go higher and can push you into this higher bracket if you pull out of certain things at certain times. How about the required minimum distributions, or RMDs? These can arrive on a government schedule and trigger a cascade of costs that maybe you never planned for with taxes. If you don't coordinate them, you can lose hundreds of thousands of dollars without ever making a single reckless decision. So instead of thinking in pieces, I want you to think in a system that's made of really three core components. We have our income in retirement, we have our taxes, and we have our investments. This is so we can design all of these to work together and to work correctly for you. Let's walk through one of these all together here, thinking about the component first as Social Security. Now, this isn't just a switch. Are we going to turn it on or turn it off? This is really most people treating Social Security as a very simple decision, while it's really not. Some make it so simple that do we flip it on at 67? Is it 62? The earliest we can take it, or is it age 70? Now, oftentimes this is the most surface level way to think about this. The real question isn't only when to take it, it's what role Social Security plays inside your overall plan. Because Social Security is the only income source that many retirees will have that's guaranteed for the rest of their life, that also adjusts annually by inflation. So how you time it, how it interacts with everything else, changes the entire structure of your retirement. Delaying benefits could make a lot of sense as this increases your monthly income significantly. Often the higher earning spouse delaying can be a great strategy to increase survivor benefits for the rest of their partner's life if they predecease them. The break-even point for a lot of people is usually somewhere in their 80s if they delay beyond full retirement age and perhaps out to age 70. And given today's life expectancies, this is often a good strategy to implement because a lot of folks are living longer these days, and we often see very healthy retirees that may live 20, 30 years into the future. But here's the part that gets overlooked. Even just this break-even point can often be too simple of an approach to determine the best age to claim Social Security. Really, the integrated approach shouldn't just focus on a break-even age, but it needs to integrate taxes and retirement, other income sources that you can draw from. Is there age differences between you and your spouse? And how do you protect your surviving spouse if something were to happen to you? The right Social Security decision isn't just about age. It's about your health, income needs, how early are you in age as far as retirement, What will your taxes look like now and later as well? And then lastly, it's going to interact very directly with your investment withdrawal strategy. Again, taken in isolation, it's kind of pretty much a guessing game. But coordinated with everything else, it becomes one of the most powerful levers in your entire plan. So how about component 2? Let's talk about taxes. Now, taxes are the invisible force that most people really underestimate until it's too late. This is really, as you look into taxes and approaching retirement, the most common assumption I hear from people approaching retirement is, my taxes will go down once I stop working. And for some people, that's true. But for a surprising number of retirees, particularly those who save diligently in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks, the opposite actually happens. RMDs, or the distributions that are being forced on you at a certain age in your 70s, these become taxable income whether you need the money or not. That income can cause Social Security benefits to become taxable. It can push you into higher tax brackets. It can even trigger what are known as IRMA or higher Medicare premiums, all from the same dollar in the same year, causing this one big problem. So here's the shift that separates financially efficient retirees from everyone else. Most people ask, how do I reduce my taxes this year, versus asking the question of, how do I reduce taxes over my entire retirement? Those are very different questions with very different answers. In practice, that means strategically living off of perhaps taxable accounts in the early years of retirement while your tax brackets are lower. Maybe you can do strategies such as 0% capital gains. Perhaps it also means you should look into doing Roth conversions in the window between retirement and when these RMDs will begin in your 70s. And reducing the future forced withdrawals that create this biggest tax problem that most folks overlook. It's the same money, just different sequencing and a dramatically different outcome over 30 years. If you've never mapped out what your tax brackets are and what they likely will be later in retirement, not just this year or next year, but really over the years to come and many decades going forward, then unfortunately you're not really planning, you're just guessing. Then component 3 is going to be how your investment should follow your income plan. Here's something that surprises most people. Investments are where retirees spend the most time and attention, but they're not where the real leverage is. Most people approach investing in retirement the same way they did while they were accumulating and growing their money. They grow their portfolio, they try to add a little bit of risk management in there to manage the overall risk. They rebalance the account periodically. They figure out really, truly where the income comes from later. That's backwards thinking. In retirement, investments have really one primary job, and that is to fill your income gap. And your income gap is simple. Let's take your monthly expenses, subtract from that your guaranteed income that's coming to you in retirement, like Social Security, maybe a pension, anything else that will keep showing up regardless of market conditions. Then whatever remains is the gap that your investments need to fill. From there, one calculation tells you a great deal about the sustainability of your plan. You can simply take that annual income gap and divide it by your total liquid assets, so your retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, other investments, and that calculation is your withdrawal rate. If you do that calculation and you're in this 4%, maybe 5% range, you're generally seen as having a portfolio that will allow you to sustain your retirement withdrawals. Now, significantly above that, then likely your plan needs attention. Here's what makes this more complex in practice, because retirement investing isn't just about the average returns. It's about what happens when a bad market arrives at the wrong time. If markets drop significantly in the early years of retirement while you're making regular withdrawals, the damage could become permanent. You're selling assets at depressed prices to fund your living expenses, and those shares are gone when the market starts to recover. This is known as sequence of returns risk. It's one of the primary reasons retirement portfolios fail, even when long-term averages look fine. This is why we don't just manage investments. We create integrated retirement plans. We design customized income strategies, the structure of the portfolio, how it's divided between stability and growth, how withdrawals are sequenced across account types, IRAs, 401ks, Roth, other accounts, matter as much as the returns themselves. Now, here is where it all comes together. Think of your retirement as a single interconnected system. Social Security forms your income foundation. Investments come and fill the gap between that foundation and what you actually spend. Taxes determine how much of that you'll actually keep yourself. And we pull one of these levers without considering the others, the whole system could become less efficient or break down. So taking Social Security too early means lowering lifetime income, potentially more portfolio pressure early on. Withdrawing from the wrong accounts at the wrong time means higher taxes, potential Medicare surcharges, and potentially accelerating the portfolio depletion. Ignoring these future RMDs could mean that you're forced with these withdrawals in your 70s that you weren't realizing that could unravel the plan that looks so perfect in your 60s. But when these three components are coordinated, when Social Security timing is chosen based on the full picture, when withdrawals are sequenced to manage brackets year by year, and when investments are structured around your actual income needs rather than abstract growth targets, something really shifts. Your income becomes more predictable, your tax bill shrinks over time, your portfolio lasts longer because it's not being asked to do more than it really needs to, and retirement stops feeling like a series of financial decisions that you hope turn out okay. It starts to feel like you put together a solid plan. And this is exactly what we build for clients at Cornerstone Wealth Planning. A one-page retirement plan that connects Social Security, taxes, and investments into one clear coordinated strategy so we can exactly see how all these pieces interact, how they work together, and where any existing gaps could be. If you're between 55 and 70 and you've saved at least $100,000 for retirement, but you're not completely sure how it all fits together, click the link in the description and schedule a call. We'll walk you through your situation, show you where you might be overpaying taxes, where your Social Security decision could be optimized, how to structure everything into one plan that makes sense from every angle. No pressure, just clarity. Because at the end of the day, retirement isn't just about having more pieces, it's about putting all those pieces together to make sure they work together in the best way they can. And when they do, that's when retirement stops feeling uncertain, starts feeling like freedom, and you'll enjoy peace of mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.